So as you know, I've been covering a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances, and I like to kind of make these recommendations based off of affordable fragrances for you to save yourself some money and also elevate your fragrance game. But part of 2024, I've made it my goal to help you elevate your fragrance game even farther by stepping into the world of niche fragrances. As a collector, I've been collecting a lot of these more affordable fragrances, but I feel like my tastes have definitely shifted in this new year. I'm really starting to gravitate towards these more expensive niche fragrances. But the word niche doesn't necessarily mean expensive. A lot of these niche fragrances can be found for near designer prices, so don't go around thinking that you have to spend $300-400 on a niche fragrance to smell amazing. I've got some amazing niche fragrances under $100, and we're going to be covering 10 of them. So don't go anywhere, get settled down, and let's start the video. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So 10 niche fragrances under $100. Let's go. All of these are in no particular order. They're all amazing and I can highly recommend them to anyone. First up on our list is from the house of Montale. Montale is an amazing niche fragrance house that has a lot of offerings for around that $100 mark, sometimes even $60 or $70 if you know where to look. This one is Montale's Ristretto Intense Cafe. I'm gonna take this off because this little cap stop tends to jingle and it's really annoying if you're listening to the audio. Ristretto Intense Cafe is one of my favorite fall and winter fragrances. It is an amazing gem. This one has an extremely gourmand and rich vibe to it. So if you love coffee, if you love jammy rose that's very sweet, and you love a little bit of oud in there, so a little bit of a Middle Eastern spice, I think you're gonna love this one. To me, this kind of reminds me of a caramel latte or just a really nice espresso mixed with a nice jammy rose and some nice florals. So if you like that kind of slightly feminine rose and you like the smell of a coffee shop, maybe some of that sweet caramel and some of the espresso, I think you're gonna love this one. It's one of the longest lasting fragrances, and honestly, I could still smell it a couple days after you spray it on your clothes, and this stuff is a powerhouse. And that one is Montale's Ristretto Intense Cafe. This next one is going to be from the house of the Attar Collection. So Attar Collection is a Middle Eastern fragrance house, but it is a Middle Eastern niche fragrance house. So you're going to have fragrances retailing for about $200 to $300, but often you can find these for about $70 to $80. This is one of my favorite ones, and this one is Khaltat Night. So imagine a very nice cinnamon leather with a nice bit of fruity cherry. So kind of reminds me a little bit of a Guerlain. I think it's the L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum, so it reminds me a little bit of that one, but I think it's a little bit less nutty, and it's definitely a little bit more gourmand and spicy. Got quite a nice mature edge to this one, so I think if you wear this in the winter or just to a nice date or something, I think anybody's gonna enjoy this one. It's also got quite a bit of patchouli, so there's definitely some depth in here, and maybe some sandalwood, I can't remember, but it's definitely a nice, mature, classy fragrance that is going to be a winter stunner, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Burberry's London, so it's that nice, spicy tobacco with a nice leather, and I think this captures some of that magic, but with a little bit of cherry and a little bit of a fruity spice to it. This one's really good for the price, and this is Attar Collection's Khaltat Night. Next up is a fragrance from the house of Mancera, and I've smelled a lot of Mancera fragrances, and I actually only have one fragrance from that house, and that's this one. This one is Mancera Aoud Blue Notes. So this is one of my favorite spring and summer oud fragrances. I know, oud in the summer. I actually did a video up here that you can check out based off some of the most interesting summer ouds that you can pull off. So you can check that one out, but I talked about this one. I absolutely love what they're doing here. You have an amazing fruity vibe with a nice bit of agar wood. You have a little bit of Palo Santo leather and some florals. So also a little bit of jammy rose, but I think the violet in here and the fruits make it smell absolutely refreshing and incredible. Just a beautiful bouquet of flowers, mainly that rose and the violet mixed with that nice fruity touch. So it's very sweet, it's tropical, but there's also a lot of different notes in there that make it a little bit creamy, a little bit gourmand, some vanillas and some other citruses, but this stuff really is unique. I just love how the rose is just a little bit smoky, and combined with the agar wood and some of the fruity leathers in here, I think this is a stunner for the spring. This stuff is really unique, and if you want a fresh, fruity oud, I think this is going to be for you. And that one is Montale's Aoud Blue Notes. Next up is another fragrance from Montale, and I actually have a really tiny adorable bottle from this one. This one is Montale Arabians Tonka. So I actually got this one for I think about 25 bucks on eBay, and it's a 0.7 ounce, so it's gonna last me definitely a while, and I don't think I quite need to buy a full bottle. I just kind of wanted to test it out, and I actually recommend you do that. Buy a small bottle or a little decant to test some of the more expensive niche fragrances so you don't have to waste all that money blind buying something that you don't like. But I think you're gonna like this one. This really reminds me of some of the same notes in Ristretto Intense Cafe, but it twists them a little bit and makes it smell a little bit more masculine and gourmand. It smells like a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances, but I think it does it in a really amazing way. You've got quite a bit of tonka, as the name would suggest. You got a nice sugary kind of quality mixed with some agarwood and saffron. It also has a little bit of that rose that's kind of found in the Montale Ristretto Intense Cafe, but it turns it down a little bit and it smells a little bit less feminine, and it just smells a little bit more gourmand. Basically that Ristretto Intense Cafe without a lot of the coffee, and just toned down a little bit with the rose and the florals. But it still smells absolutely amazing, and there's also a little bit of amber and musk in the base, and it just smells like a really nice candied sugary tonka mixed with that rose and the oud with a touch of that saffron. So if you like a lot of Middle Eastern spicy sweet fragrances, I think this is going to be a really nice touch. I want to say you can get a full bottle for about 90 bucks, but if you buy a little one like this, you can get it for under 30. And that one is Arabians Tonka. Next up is another Attar Collection fragrance, and this one is one of my favorite out of the shower fragrances. This one is Attar Collection's Musk Kashmir. This one is an extremely comforting, soapy, white floral fragrance with a nice bit of sweet amber and musk in the base. So this has some cashmere in, so it's gonna feel a little bit fuzzy, a little bit warm, and it's gonna draw people in. I get a bit of tuberose and I think a little bit of gardenia, so some really nice creamy white florals without smelling too grandma-like. And I know gardenia can definitely give some people some trauma because some of y'all's grandmas be really spraying some of that stuff. But it's just a hint of that spring white florals mixed with a nice sugary musk. So it's a little bit peppery up top, but I think the musk and the other white florals just makes it smell very clean, very sweet and uplifting. So this is a perfect out of the shower fragrance, or if you want to grab it and just go run some errands. It really is strong and long lasting, and you're going to leave a beautiful scent, sillage, and trail behind you, because this stuff is amazing. Honestly, I can see people gatekeeping this, but if you want to be a nice friend, you can tell people about this. And I'm telling you about it because I think you're gonna like this one. And that one is Attar Collection's Musk Kashmir. So we made it halfway through the video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, because I love making fragrance related content for you, and I'd love to keep getting it delivered to your inbox. So consider hitting the notifications, and let's get back to the video. This one is from one of the coolest new niche fragrance houses. This one is Sphinx's Horchata de Vanille. So Sphinx has some amazing high quality fragrances, all for roughly around the $100 mark. So some of them can go a little bit more expensive. I know Aromatics, Neeb, he made a fragrance with them. He collaborated and made Coconut Daiquiri, which is fantastic. It's one of my favorite summer fragrances, and gotta give you a shout out. But this one is one of their more affordable offerings at around $80, I think 80 or 90 bucks, and they always have coupons popping up, so you can get it 20% off, maybe 10%. You can really get this for cheaper. But a full 100 ml Extrait de Parfum for 80 bucks or so. This is gonna give you a very cinnamon lactonic fragrance vibe that is definitely reminiscent of horchata. And you also get quite a bit of vanilla and some other spices in there. So it smells very similar to horchata, and I'm Mexican and also Armenian, so I appreciate some spice and some of that cinnamon and horchata vibes. So I think this is definitely right up my alley. It's a little bit sweeter than I would like, so I don't necessarily wear this one all that much, but if you like sweet cinnamon, lactonic, creamy, musky fragrances, I think you're gonna like this one. When I first smelled it, it was definitely extremely cinnamon heavy, and I've learned to kind of like this one a little bit more. But if you're not a huge fan of a very red hot cinnamon vibe, I don't know if you'll like this one. But if you're not afraid to get a sample of it for 25 or 30 bucks, I think this is a good way to go. So if you want a nice spicy red hot fragrance with a nice bit of vanillic creaminess, get this one. And that one is Sphinx's Horchata de Vanille. All right, this is the last one from Montale. I promise I'm not sponsored by them. I just like buying their fragrances. This next one is Montale's Amber Musk. So like the name suggests, this is going to be a musk and amber fragrance, but I feel like there's a little bit more amber in here. This is a wonderful layering fragrance. So amber has a couple different qualities. It could smell a little bit spicy, it could smell very warm, but every time that I've smelled it, and I've even smelled and purchased some Amber Extreme, which is a fragrance aroma chemical, and I absolutely love how amber smells. It's very salty, it's aromatic, and it just adds a nice airiness to your fragrance. And the musk gives it a little bit of a sporty kind of vibe, but I feel like with these mixed together, it's an amazing layering fragrance. So if you're a huge fan of musk and you want a salty, like a salt and pepper kind of vibe mixed with a little bit of that uplifting amber, I think you're gonna like this. I actually like layering this one with the Ristretto Intense Cafe, so you have that beautiful coffee and rose with some of that musk and amber. And I think if you add this to anything and layer it with something, it's gonna smell instantly more summer and spring-like. So I challenge you to maybe layer this with another kind of spicier fragrance or a winter one to see if you can get something really cool and kind of make your own flankers, if you will. This is an amazing one even by itself, and I just like the smell of the amber and the musk as it kind of wafts up because it's really strong and it's just a very unnatural fragrance. So if you're somebody who likes something a little bit weird, a little bit synthetic, not in the normal, I think you'll like this one. I think this one resonates with me just because I'm like that. And that one is Montale's Amber Musk. This next fragrance is from a Middle Eastern house, and technically it's not niche, but it is owned by the same company that owns the Spirit of Dubai. So this is Nabeel's Crown of Emirates. So Nabeel makes some of these fragrances that are basically the same thing as the Spirit of Dubai. So this one is Nabeel's Earth, and it smells just like the Spirit of Dubai Turath, which is just fantastic. And I talked so many times about this one, and I really just didn't want to include it again, but this one is just a banger, just a magnificent masterpiece. But Crown of Emirates is going to be a black fragrance. So I imagine anybody who wears like a black leather jacket, who wears black sunglasses, black hair, black boots, basically somebody who's just dark and wants something very moody and very mysterious. I picture them wearing this. So like the crown on the top, it's got these little black jewels and it's got this kind of pearl in the middle, but it definitely smells opulent and royal, just like the crown. So you've got an amazing leather, rose, saffron, and agarwood in here. And there's also a little bit of some florals and some lychee in here too, but really I just get a very resinous saffron and agarwood with a little bit of that leather, and it just smells extremely mature, opulent. And I think anybody, if you're a confident person, you can pull this off. I think if you're an extremely confident person and you wear this, I think you will demand that power and that authority, just like I talked about with Earth. So this fragrance line has a tendency to do that. It just demands respect, and if you wear this properly, you can control some people. But damn, that saffron definitely smells really strong and really good here. So if you want an extremely powerful Middle Eastern fragrance from the same brand that brings you the Spirit of Dubai fragrances, this is going to be an amazing stunner, and I think you're going to be pulling compliments, or at least people, left and right. And that one is Nabeel's Crown of Emirates. Now the second to last one, I technically don't have a full bottle, but I plan on getting one because it is just fantastic. I actually have this little decant that I got from my friends over at the Fragrance Vault in South Lake Tahoe. So if you're ever over there and want to buy decants or at least sample some amazing high quality niche fragrances, they are going to be your friends. Go talk to Mackenzie. They're going to all help you out over there, and they're just really cool. But this one is Targhee Forest by Rogue Perfumery. So Rogue Perfumery has some amazing high quality niche fragrances, and you can get the 30 ml bottles for under $100. I think they're about 90 bucks. But this one was actually my favorite out of all of them, and it just smells extremely classic. It's like a green men's fragrance that smells extremely comforting. This is going to definitely remind you of Creed's Bois de Portugal. So if you love that one, if you like that very strong oak moss and pine and fir with those nice classic masculine notes from the last kind of generation, especially with some of that geranium in there, I think you're going to love this one. So it's going to smell a little bit barbershop-like from the geranium and a little bit of that oak moss and patchouli, but I think it smells absolutely fantastic. And for 90 bucks for a 30 ml, I think that's definitely fair for this stuff. I just keep sniffing this tiny little bottle because it's very comforting to me, and it just smells very clean, like a clean shave. And if you just want something that's very green, very aromatic, amber and musky, I think you're gonna like this one, especially with all that beautiful, beautiful cedar, pine, and those nice forest-like notes. This also has quite a bit of citruses in the opening, so citrus with a little bit of that kind of pine cleaner vibe, but it doesn't smell overly synthetic and it just smells very well blended while just reminding you of just a very clean environment. Amazing stuff from the house of Rogue Perfumery, and that one is Targhee Forest. Last but not least, this is a fragrance I've talked about a couple times, but I'm still going to talk about it because I love it so much. This next one is going to be for the mysterious wizards who want to just live in the forest. This one is Tiziana Terenzi's Ecstasy. So this one, in a previous video, I think I did it for Halloween, I talked about this kind of reminds me of a wizard in the forest who's just kind of by himself, just doing his own thing, but it smells very magical and it smells very picturesque and reminiscent of the forest. This one's got some beautiful incense, some fir and spruce, a little bit of rose, and you also get a little bit of whetstone and sandalwood. So it smells a little bit hippie-like, just a tiny bit, but it's very earthy. It's got kind of a soil tincture, but it's definitely got some of those green carnivorous notes that will definitely make you smell like a forest. So while the last one was more of a clean barbershop forest, this is a really earthy mineralic forest. There's also a little bit of violet in here, so the kind of waxy violet mixed with that whetstone and the slightly aquatic rose in here. It just smells really, really interesting. And as it dries down, you get a little bit more of that smoky edge, but it just smells like a really cool mix between like a wet smoke and just a beautiful mineralic rock and forest accords. That stuff is so freaking cool. I just love smelling this when I'm picking it up because it just transports me into another world whenever I smell it. And so if you want to smell extremely unique, picturesque, and unlike anyone else out there, you want to just do your own thing, this is going to be your friend. And that one is Tiziana Terenzi's Ecstasy. Boom, 10 niche fragrances to blow your mind under $100. I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and please share this with your friends. If anybody else is into the world of niche perfumes, even if they want to just save a little bit of money, check these ones out because they are mind-blowing. That does it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have an amazing week, and just remember, you're awesome and you can do it this week. I'm Eli with Common Sense, and until the next time, bye-bye. You have a beautiful incense, some purr, the hell?